really to recognize Congressman Reichert's support for an important federal grant program called Land Water Conservation Fund. And this park is, we've applied for those funds, and without the Congressman's support, there's no chance that we're going to get those funds. They're really important to us.
So, you know, we're successful because we have a broad community bipartisan support for protecting parks and developing recreation facilities that are citizens. In order to express our appreciation for your work, yesterday we voted unanimously to resolve the following proclamation, and I have a copy of this I'd like to give you, but let me read it. This is from the Washington Wildlife and Recreation Coalition. Proclamation. Whereas created in 1990, the Washington Wildlife and Recreation Coalition works to secure funding for the Washington Wildlife and Recreation Program that empowers local communities to acquire and preserve land for outdoor recreation opportunities and wildlife habitat protection. And whereas the Land and Water Conservation Fund is an instrumental source of federal matching dollars for local WWRP grants. And whereas United States Congressman Dave Reichert, representing the 8th Congressional District in Washington State, has demonstrated dedicated leadership for the LWCF and a deep commitment to the future of wildlife habitat, parks, and working farms and forests in Washington State.
There's about $1 million that came to Washington State from all those hundreds of millions that were collected from those royalties. That allows about 2 projects to be funded per year in this state. And this is a great project. You have to be an outstanding, over-the-top project to get funded.
It's very competitive.
It's very competitive. And I have a very large park system that needs to be built and improved, and Land Water Conservation Fund could be really instrumental for communities like Covington being able to keep up with population growth and put soccer fields in, not just one,
right,
but a whole system of parks and playgrounds, soccer fields, trails. And so I'm really hoping that we can tap into more of that Land Water Conservation Fund. We can't do it without that kind of funding. So I really appreciate your support.
Well, I know in talking to the mayor just before we started, she made a comment about Covington starting from the ground up, and this is an example of that. You're here, shaping what your city will look like in the future for our kids and our grandkids, and that's an exciting part about watching some of these cities. Is when I was the sheriff, these cities were just forming then, and my job then was to work with the cities to build police departments and make sure that we were all safe in the new cities, and then you guys just took it from there and built the city of Covington. When I first moved out here in 1976, it was just one gas station and a grocery store and a 2-lane highway and lots of trees. And today they're still trying to preserve that rural flavor with projects like this, and not only does it do that, but it also provides a place for our youngsters to be able to come and have a special outing and athletic activities. The last thing I want to say is that I feel a little bit guilty in accepting this award. It's federal legislation is a sort of a job that, you do what you can do, but sometimes you don't feel like you really accomplished a lot. Like you're spinning your wheels an awful lot. But those little things that we can do really are, at least from my perspective, little. I'm appreciative very much of the recognition, but the real credit goes to all of you who are going to be doing the work, who came up with the plan, who are now going to be putting the plan into place, and then we'll all be able to reap the benefits by visiting here with our kids and our grandkids. But I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you, and thank you for this award. It's very meaningful to me, and we'll have this hanging in the entryway of our office that was occupied by Jennifer, but thank you very much. It's very much appreciated.
Thank you for all your leadership. I think this is a perfect example of the synergy that can occur between a state-funded and a federally funded project, and it clearly will be that the sum of the whole is going to be greater than the equal parts, and without either one of those parts, it just wouldn't come together. So thank you very much for your leadership.
Thank you. Well, who's got the soccer ball? I used to coach soccer.